All right, I think this seems like a good time to start. So welcome everyone to Lean and Green Michigan's Pace in the New Year webinar. We're really excited you all can join us virtually on the snowy day. So during this webinar, we will recap our successes from 2022, as well as give some insight into expected trends for PACE in 2023. We look forward to having another busy year at Lean and Green Michigan. And with that, I'll give the floor to Lean and Green Michigan's President and General Counsel, Todd Williams.
Yeah, definitely thank you all for coming today. You know, the weather is kind of conducive to sticking inside, so glad we could have something for you. First and foremost, we feel like 2022 was another successful year, and more excitingly for us, it was our 10th year as a company operating PACE and bringing PACE across Michigan. And so we're still really excited about the fact that we've completed 10 years. We look forward to another 10 and for continued growth of PACE. And really that seemed to be, in looking back at last year, kind of the theme for the year was continued growth of PACE across Michigan. And so it was really exciting. Wasn't the year we anticipated. If you go back and watch our video from last year and compare the results at the end, not quite what we thought. I'm not too worried about that, much like this year. Last year, I had reached out to a number of our partners to try and gauge what everybody was thinking 2022 would be like, and we were all wrong. So, it's kind of fun to look back at the end of the year and think about the predictions we made. But in 10 years of PACE in Michigan, PACE was established with the Property Assessed Clean Energy Act in 2010. Lean and Green Michigan has continued to grow. We added 4 new jurisdictions last year, which we'll touch base on, but we're up to 53 counties, cities, and townships across Michigan. We cover 74% of the population of all Michiganders, and it looks like an awful lot of gray on the map, but we're very excited about the parts we have. Equally excited, I know we're talking with a number of jurisdictions about enabling PACE there and bringing PACE to their jurisdiction. So the 4 that we welcomed last year, and an interesting footnote, we are happy to talk with any jurisdiction, happy to reach out and talk with anybody about enabling PACE and bringing PACE to their community. We tend to target ones where we have potential projects. And so typically if you see us talking about adding a new jurisdiction, it's because there is a good potential project there. And I can tell you all 4 of these jurisdictions, Alpena, Sheboygan counties, as well as Clearwater Township and South Haven Charter Township, we reached out because we have a good potential project in the pipeline with them. Really excited to bring them on board and to be able to talk about PACE and having that kind of immediacy of impact that there is something in the pipeline for them. This is a nice spread, territories across Michigan. We've seen a good uptick in northern Michigan, in the northern lower peninsula, I should say. And so we're excited to have new territories joining us and new potential projects. What we really saw last year, Q1 kind of surprised everybody, and Q2 was equally surprising in that they both slowed down. 2021 was our best year to date, coming into the year, and in fact, December was an exceptionally busy month, and it trickled into 2022 pretty well, and then everything seemed to slow down in Q1 and Q2. There seems to be a trend not only in Michigan, but we were on a call yesterday listening to administrators from a number of other states, and it seems like everybody kind of saw that same slowdown, whether it was just raw material shortages or interest rates starting to climb, and it seems to be that everybody kind of hit pause on borrowing capital. On the other hand, we've seen a massive uptick in Q3 and Q4 of new projects coming in, of increased interest coming in, and of projects getting completed. Where we're seeing it, kind of the biggest trends that we're seeing in 2022, we're still in hospitality and multifamily properties. continued increase in interest in cannabis and cannabis-related properties, which brings a bit of a challenge. They're not always the easiest to find a lender, and we're constantly looking for new lenders willing to work with cannabis-related properties. But we did bring on the 4 new jurisdictions. I'm equally excited by the fact that we had 2 lenders close their first deal in Michigan. And I'm always happy when we get new lenders coming into our marketplace and making an investment in the future of Michigan properties. And it was great to work with. Always, first deal is always the hardest, whether it's a new jurisdiction or a new lender. But very happy to get through it and have that option for people. So, jurisdictions with the greatest investment, we've got a few, where we saw the most activity last year, and surprisingly, where we're seeing a bit of the same uptick in our pipeline. Wayne County has continuously been our most active. It does appear probably 3 of the next 4 or 5 projects to close will be in Wayne County. I don't see them slowing down anytime soon, but we're not only a Wayne County program, and so it always heartens me. Last year we closed more projects outside of Wayne County than we did in Wayne County, just not more in any one other jurisdiction. So PACE is continuing to spread around. We see continued interest in Ingham County, there around Lansing. Wonderful project we'll talk about later on in more detail. Great new development. So it's Ingham County has been consistent. We've seen 2 to 3 projects just about every year come in from Ingham County, and Grand Traverse County and the counties surrounding it are all starting to pick up. And I'm not sure if it's because we've closed a few deals in Grand Traverse that the other counties around are starting to take more notice. But I can tell you in our pipeline, we've had 3 new potential leads come in, I think, in the last 6 weeks in Grand Traverse County. And so we're really excited to continue to work with them and continue to bring PACE into the northern elements of Michigan. 4 jurisdictions last year closing their first deals. These are always exciting to me. We have a lot of member jurisdictions that have never financed or had a PACE deal financed within their jurisdiction. And so we're always happy when we can get one over the finish line. Some of the jurisdictions, like Antrim County, had not, had enabled PACE quite a while ago. One of our earlier jurisdictions, and there, and at the end of the year, John Wybe did a great job in working with Antrim County to, get them caught up, to remind them and work with them what PACE was and why it was important. And so it was a wonderful experience, not only for Antrim. We've got a great testimonial. If it's not up yet, it will be up soon. And there's a great quote from the administrator of Antrim County talking about the PACE process and what it was like to work with through their first project. It was heartwarming to me to hear somebody, having a lot of questions in the beginning and at the end, trusting the process. So, but Kalamazoo, City of Wyoming, Genesee County, and Antrim County, all have had their first project closed this past year. All of them had adopted PACE a while ago, and so we're always excited for PACE to expand beyond some of the territories that we work with on a regular basis. So overall, 10 years of PACE, 10 years of Lean & Green Michigan, 65 projects financed since 2015. We're just over $207 million of private investment being made into Michigan. This is private money coming in and investing directly in improving Michigan properties all over the state. And so we're very proud of the accomplishment, very proud of the fact that we can help out in making Michigan properties better, in saving electricity, cutting down on CO2, all of the stats on the other side. But we're equally excited at that bottom stat. Jobs created, the investment, the impact that PACE can have in a community, where investment may not have otherwise happened, but for a PACE project coming in, it always makes us feel a little bit more excited a little happier to work with new property owners. So we're hoping, it took us 10 years to get over 207 million. We'd love to double that by the end of the year if people are game. And I know there's a few lenders on the call. I see you. More than happy to have you double that 207 number by the end of the year. So year by year, it's kind of fun to look at growth and look at the impact as it ramped up. PACE is not always the easiest and quickest process. We do need to have jurisdictions enable PACE. We spend a lot of time and effort in working with contractors and recruiting lenders into the market. And it's really fun and seeing the bar graphs to see it pay off over time, whether it's the total amount financed or looking at the number of projects year over year continue to go up. As I said, 2021 was a bit of an outlier for us. We had a lot of good projects come through. And December of 2021 actually had 5 projects just on its own. So December would be a good year unto itself compared to some of our prior years. So 2022, we don't really feel like we took a step back just because the number of projects were less. It was still a very good year in spreading PACE across and having it continue to grow in Michigan really seems to be setting us up nicely for 2023. So a couple of our favorite projects from last year. We talked internally as a team to try and focus on a few of them that were really good stories or really good examples of the power of PACE and the spread of PACE. The first one, REO Gateway, is in Lansing, Michigan. It's actually an area that I was unfamiliar with, but REO is a neighborhood. This is literally a new build apartment complex that is kind of a gateway into that neighborhood. It's the REO neighborhood has its own Wikipedia page. I'd highly recommend reading through it. It's a wonderful area of Lansing, and it was great to learn about. This is a developer who's closed a project previously, coming back, making another investment in Lansing, bringing in new multifamily, new apartment complex in an area that needs it, and deciding to, once again, use PACE to build above code. And so, energy efficiency measures, improved windows, HVAC and lighting. We're really excited to see this one get developed and for additional housing to be built in just a wonderful neighborhood in Lansing. Similar story, but slightly different are dual projects that closed. 646 and 660 Hazelwood are actually 2 apartment complexes in Wayne County in Detroit. They're actually on the same street as a project that this developer financed with PACE a year prior. And so now we've got another developer coming in, and not new construction. These are retrofits. These buildings are in some very rough shape, but they're using PACE to help bring back now 3 apartment buildings on the same block. And it's a great investment back in Detroit and back into bringing derelict buildings back to life and bringing people back into a neighborhood that is currently suffering. It's amazing the building stock that we have around Wayne County, that we have around Detroit. There are plenty of gems that need some love, need some tender investment, and PACE is happy to be there. I'm a sucker for a great story, and these certainly are that. So we look for any investment that can be made, but when you can make a deep impact with a small amount of investment through PACE, it's a wonderful sign. So at the end of the year, and the very first project up in Antrim County is the Elk Lake Inn. This will be a new construction project, hospitality, brand new hotel. Kind of interesting. We were kind of confused in reading through the different documents at one point, and that one document said there were 40 rooms, one document said there were 20 rooms, and come to find out, it's a wonderful kind of suite style hotel. There'll be 20 suites. Most of them will have more than one bedroom. It's in a great area for people looking to travel, whether it's during the summer months or during the winter months up to Elk Rapids. So we're looking forward to this one coming online. again, new hospitality. Sorry for my cat jumping in there. New hospitality property coming in, very first project in Antrim County, and it was great to work with the developer up there. I'm hoping, as they've learned about PACE with this project, that they'll learn about a few more. So, as much as I've tried to defend, the cat has shown up once more. So apologies to anybody, but he does always seem to find a webinar entertaining. So 2022 overall was a good year for us. We saw a bit of a slowdown. I think it was pretty much across the board economic-wise. Q3 and Q4 definitely saw the trends picking back up. But more importantly, it was good to close most of our projects in new territories or in territories that had not been quite as active, and to have new territories come on board. So 2023, kind of, trying to look into the crystal ball. I've reached out to a number of you and asked kind of where you think that we may end up as well, where the market is going to go. And everybody seems to be coalescing in a very similar, mindset. Everybody is seeing the market picking back up. We all tend to believe it'll be slower than 2021. I personally think it will stick, a little slower than 2021, but more consistent than last year. I don't think we're going to see, 3 to 4 months with no activity, and with people really kind of circling the wagons and waiting to see where interest rates are going to, end up at. I do believe the interest rates for PACE, as well as everything else, will remain elevated. I'm hopeful that they'll plateau, maybe start to come down by the end of the year. But the nice thing, when we do hear pushback that PACE interest rates are too high, it's not just PACE interest rates that are going up. They are consistently tracking, and they seem to have remained in the same relationship with other types of financing as where they were at before. It's just that everybody is up 2 points to 3 points compared to where they were at in 2021. So my hope is that there's a little bit more stability this year in the interest rates, plateauing and continuing to trend or maybe go down towards the end of the year. So hospitality, multifamily remain the dominant asset classes, and the new projects that we've seen come in Q3 and Q4 of 2022. We're more than happy to work with any asset class that comes in. That's just the trend that we're continuing to see. I believe there's a good amount of build out of hospitality properties in northern Michigan, taking advantage of people traveling and the growing interest in not only the winter sports but the summer sports in northern Michigan. So I think we'll see that continue to happen. Multifamily in some of our more major jurisdictions, hospitality all around Michigan really kind of coming in at the time. So currently, Wayne County and northern Michigan are the hottest areas. But as I said, I fully expect the majority of the next 5 deals to close will be in Wayne County. The other deals that I think will close next are in Grand Traverse County. So looking forward to working with other jurisdictions. Those are just the closest ones to come in. So we do expect to see multiple closings in Q1. Hopefully you'll start to see some announcements in February of some case studies. If you're not signed up for our MailChimp, very easy to do on our website, or just email Megan or myself, and we'll get you signed up for a MailChimp. Then you'll always have the latest case studies coming around. So what we're working on, we don't just do the deals, as much as they're sometimes my favorite, and as much as sometimes they're the most time consuming. We do like to work on keeping PACE fresh and keeping PACE and making PACE as accessible as possible to our jurisdictions, to our partners, and to new property owners. And so to that end, we have a number of other projects we're working on as a team. One is we are working on revamping our training videos. We've for years maintained contractor training, both in person and virtually in videos on our website. We've realized we have a little bit bigger of a need. One, to update the contractor training, bring it a little closer. There's been a few changes that we should incorporate in. but also listening to me talk or my compatriots talk for an hour at you is a little mind numbing. So we're going to try and update those and make them a little easier and a little bit more accessible for people. At the same time, we're also looking to develop training videos that'll be helpful for our other trade partners, whether it's jurisdictions, economic development groups, or other interested parties. So, certainly if you have ideas as they're coming in, we'll value feedback, but keep your eyes looked out for new videos coming out sometime soon. We're updating our participating lender information. Surveys have been sent out. I've gotten, I think, 5 responses back so far. Nothing nefarious here for any of the lenders on the line. We're really just looking to update the information that we have about you in our system. It's always good when we can match up potential property owners with lenders who would be interested in their project. And so knowing what your minimums for project size are, knowing if you're interested in lending for cannabis, especially if you're interested for lending for cannabis or houses of worship, is important. And we've realized some of our information may be a year or 2 out of date. I can tell you in sending the survey out, I found at least 2 emails that were bad that we had for lenders. And so I had to track down somebody new at those facilities or new at those lenders. So hopefully we'll have an updated list back soon. And we'll look to, always look to add new lenders, but for our participating lenders already, we're just looking to make sure we're connected well with you. So ongoing project, we are working to recruit community and state banks and credit unions to become PACE lenders. This initiative really kicked off this past year. So a lot of our PACE lenders, minimum project size has slowly become higher and higher, whether it's $1 million or $2 million. We have a number of interested property owners with projects that are in the PACE Express or $250,000 below size that we think would match up well with our community and state banks. And so we are working to recruit them in to become PACE lenders, and particularly looking at those projects that maybe in an area that they understand and know well. Rural Michigan is not always the easiest to underwrite if you're a national lender and don't have knowledge of the community like a bank in that community might. So we actively looking to recruit new ones in. We've had interest, direct interest expressed by 2 of them, and we're currently talking with a number of others about becoming PACE lenders. So we're excited to have that initiative continue and to have some success with it. Of course, I'm always excited the first time we can get fully through a project. It makes life so much easier for everybody. So we will continue to update both our program manual and PACE program reports that our jurisdictions adopt throughout the year. Some of them are a little out of date. Some of them have been put on hold. We'll talk about in a slide or 2 in the future. But we are continuing to reach out to our jurisdictions and make sure that we have the best and current PACE program available. As we learn lessons from projects that we close, as we learn best practices from other jurisdictions and other states, we do like to keep our model up to date and moving along. So we will be planning a webinar for July. We're not 100% sure what the topic's going to be yet. We've got 2 that we're thinking about, but definitely put it on your calendar. We will be having another webinar in July. So Leading Green Michigan around Michigan, a little bit repetitive, but over the last couple of years, we've made a direct effort to really engage with our jurisdictions. Due to COVID, we've not traveled as much around the state. We're looking forward to this next year, getting out and traveling around, meeting face-to-face with more of our stakeholders. We've got trips in the works planned up to Northern Michigan, Mid-Michigan, and really anywhere else that you want us to be. We are happy to come and meet with you. We don't think that COVID is completely over, but we are definitely comfortable at a point that it's achieved a point of parity, and we miss traveling around Michigan. We miss the opportunity to engage with stakeholders, whether it's jurisdictional employees or members of economic development teams. we're looking to get out and meet with you this next year. So our other big dream for this year, we've got a new year, we've got a new legislature in Michigan, and we're dreaming of new legislation. So over the last 2 years, there were proposed amendments to the CPACE legislation in Michigan that kind of stalled out and did not pass. They did a few things that we really liked and we're hoping to see get reintroduced and adopted this year. One, works to clarify the treatment of new construction, particularly as it pertains to whether or not you need an SIR, savings to investment ratio, and a savings guarantee. New construction is always a little tough to quantify the savings, and really it's just about building above code and having a delta between building to code and building above code. So definitely clarifying the new construction policy would be great. The other thing that we've had requests from property owners time and time again, the savings to investment ratio requirement and the savings guarantee is meant to protect them. And yet we've consistently had property owners ask if there was any ability to waive it. I'm a big fan of the protections being hard baked into the statute, but I'm also a big fan of responding to the need of the property owners. And if they fully understand what they're buying and what investment they're making, I see no reason why they should not be allowed to waive that added layer of security. So additionally, the former bills and hopefully the new bills would expand PACE to cover new types of projects pertaining to environmental hazard projects, whether it's increased resiliency or using PACE to help clean up some of the potable water issues that we have in the state. I think it is a valid expansion, and bringing PACE as a tool to more things, I can't see the harm in that. So we're hopeful that we'll see bills introduced, and we'll hopefully keep tabs on them as they move through. Fingers crossed. So we can't do it, or I most certainly cannot do any of this all by myself, and I'd be remiss if we didn't thank our team. Mary Freeman, the owner and outreach, definitely will be reaching out to any of you with the jurisdictions and economic development throughout the year, and she and I will be traveling around quite a bit. John Wiley is our associate counsel. As we get projects pushing through, John will be the one on the other end of the line helping to push the projects and close projects out. And Megan Ross is our communications and business associate. She did a great job in helping pull this webinar together and is available and excited to help out with community events. So I feel like I've been talking for quite a while at this point. Happy to field questions that you may have. And otherwise, we're always available and always happy to talk. So looks like Bob has his hand up.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can.
Great. Well, I had a couple of questions, but I'll just start with one. I think it's great that we're trying to get community banks and local banks to try and shore up the lower end of the PACE opportunities. And what would be your ask for the PACE community here locally, Todd, for us to try and engage more banks or credit unions with PACE? Do you just want us to give you the lead, or are there things that you might think of that would be a first good step? I guess best practice, first best step.
Yeah, I mean, if you're aware of a community bank or one that you've worked with in the past, and you're willing to make an introduction, we're happy to take them and happy to spread the word of PACE to them. So certainly anybody that you've worked with in the past, Bob, I'm happy to talk with in the future. It's not always going to be a great fit for them. It may not be a product line that they want to offer, but I'm happy to have a conversation with everybody to explain what it is and to see if it will be a good fit for them.
Thank you.
Excellent. Anybody else with a question? Feel free to raise your hand or just chime in.
Go ahead, Bob.
I'll follow up again with another question. I'm aware of DTE and consumers having trainings for their contractors, and I was wondering whether there's been any thought about Lean & Green Michigan pairing up with them. So those are fairly large events, and I'm just wondering whether there's been any conversations or any interest in doing that.
We've had some conversation a little bit with them years ago. Their goal with contractors and the programs that they're offering are slightly different from where we're at. But I can tell you, we've certainly looked at kind of cross training opportunities, not only with the utilities, but we're an active member of MEECA, the Michigan Energy Efficiency Contractors Association, and so we've looked to find some of our trade partners where training and maybe being able to cross train memberships through. So always interested in it. At this point, it hasn't quite worked. We would recommend though that any of our contractors that work with us do take a look at some of those partner programs with DTE. Sometimes they're a better fit than PACE for a project that you're looking at. So, Mr. Palmer, you have a question?
Yeah. Thank you for that. My partner and I are in the kind of midway through the approval process on a couple 27 unit multifamily buildings in Royal Oak, which is in Oakland County. And we're currently kind of shopping term sheets from banks and credit unions. And I guess this is our intro into PACE. I've heard about it before, but my question is, if you guys do ground up and if you have like any indication of lending rates or loan to cost, or if it's just a piece of the financing, or how that would go if we wanted to aggressively pursue PACE.
Yeah, we could certainly follow up offline in a little bit more depth. We certainly have worked with a number of projects that are new construction, open field, stick, brand new field up construction. PACE is never all of the projects. It is always kind of limited, just in its very nature. Typically, PACE is limited to about 25% of the overall property value. And in new construction, we certainly would be looking at a as completed property value. So, even there, you're not getting into everything, but it can help finance and help close that gap. Typically, it's displacing either equity or mezzanine debt. So,
Okay.
I believe we have your email. We can. I think Megan has your email probably from signing up. We can follow up with you and set up a call.
I'm halfway through a email to Megan before I got the courage to raise my hand. So I will finish that email.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
Wonderful.
wait to hear back from you guys.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Thanks.
I think we have a question
Jack?
from Jack Shaner. Yes.
Jack, are you around? If you're talking, you're on mute. No? Well, I'll track Jack down here in a little bit. So, thank everybody for attending. And if you have any questions, if you have any need, we look forward to hearing from you. Feel free to email. There are common challenges in recruiting more lenders. Honestly, Jackson, in working with some of the community banks and the state banks, it's explaining what PACE is to them and making sure that it's going to be a good fit. It's a whole new product line for them. In recruiting new kind of the national PACE lenders into the market, it's really just opportunity. A lot of times, there are I think 32 states and the District of Columbia that have enabled PACE. And so getting them to focus on the Michigan market in lieu of focusing on other markets is sometimes a little tough. So it's always great when we can find projects and help to kind of lure them in to Michigan. We love to see the investment coming in. For the community banks, it really is kind of explaining what the new product line is and how it might play nicely with the other types of lending that they're currently doing. So, but
Thanks
thank
for
you for
that.
that question.
Yeah, without giving away any proprietary information, how were you able to, how did you make contact, or who sought who out, and how did you just briefly seal the deals on, like the Elk project, Elk River, wherever that is, Northern Michigan, and then the old building in inner city of Detroit, two really different landscapes. How'd that happen?
Amazingly, exact same lender on both. The PACE lender for both of those deals was PACE Loan Group. For the one in Detroit, that's a returning property developer. They did a project last year, and so they've come back for the project in Antrim County, Elk Lake Inn. I'm not sure how they originally got connected. That project came to us from the lender, and so they had done development and met that property owner along the way. Some of the PACE lenders have active kind of outreach that they do and trying to find new property owners and new projects themselves. And we find that they tend to be more successful than some of the other PACE lenders in finding deals. So as much as I love sourcing deals myself, we're always happy. It's a big state. I love lenders and contractors and everybody else kind of going out and talking about PACE and helping to bring deals in. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome.
I don't know if Megan
All
had
right.
anything to add. I didn't mean to cut her off there.
Oh, no.
Excellent. Well, thank you everybody for attending. We look forward to talking with you throughout the year.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Got my voice back, Todd. Thank you.
I'm going to stop the recording now.